Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be showing off a Historic Brawl deck, Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia. For 1 and a black, Jadar is a 1/1 legendary human wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no creatures with Decayed, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So this shows off one of the new mechanics from Innistrad Midnight Hunt, Decayed. That means that the token can't block, and when it attacks, you have to sacrifice it at the end of combat. So what Jadar does here is keeps you fueled with a very expendable creature token every single turn. You know you're always going to have at least one creature on board to sacrifice outlets. So we're going to be running a ton of those in this deck, definitely an Aristocrats style sacrifice deck here. With Phyrexian Tower, we can add 2 mana every single turn with this card, basically just a strictly better swamp for this deck. We have hostile as well in the lands that can sacrifice cards, and of course not just our lands are going to be sacrificing those creatures. Plenty of our main deck cards, Yawgmoth sacrifices them to very good use, putting a -1/-1 counter on a card and drawing a card. We have Ayara to sacrifice them to draw cards. We have Yahenni to sacrifice them to give Yahenni indestructible. Lots of just fantastic ways to sacrifice creatures for good value in this deck, and a good amount of ways to get some more expendable tokens. Dreadhorde Invasion gives us a 1/1 zombie army every single turn, as long as we keep sacrificing that zombie army, so basically a second copy of Jadar right there. Ghoulish Procession gives us more of those decayed zombies whenever non-token creatures are dying, so super fun kind of mono-black token deck here, but we are using those tokens to sacrifice to some good value, and some of our win conditions are going to be just a lot of life drain. We have cards like Falconwrath Noble and Blood Artist, which both say that whenever another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life, so we will be draining our opponent for at least one life a turn anytime one of these are on board. Ayara can sit here and drain our opponent for life every time those decayed zombies enter the battlefield. A lot of life drain as we're sacrificing stuff. And of course, we also just have some big creatures every now and then. Cards like Cavalier of Night have a good sacrifice ability to destroy a creature, as well as just being a big old 4/5 lifelinker. And just some big, like, Liliana-style effects. Harvester of Souls being a 5/5 and drawing us cards whenever non-token creatures are dying. We do have a ton of removal in this deck. That is another thing that Jadar really helps with. Black has a lot of 1-mana removal spells that just say sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature, so all of those are just absurdly cheap for a Jadar deck. Just 1 mana destroy a creature pretty much, since you always have those expendable tokens to sacrifice, so a ton of removal in this deck as well, pretty much all of it requiring us to sacrifice a creature, so we'll be clearing out the board with those so we can just keep digging in, even attacking with our decayed zombies now and then. So this is the deck. There is one card I forgot to put in here that is really good, the Morbid Opportunist, because I didn't own a copy, I guess. So we're going to slap that wild card in here, but this is another exceptional card to work with decayed zombie tokens. You're going to be drawing a card pretty much every turn with this. And in our deck, with some instant speed removal in black, we could even draw cards in our opponent's turn, as long as we're killing one of those cards. So we're going to throw Morbid Opportunist in here and cut something random really quick. Probably don't need treasure tokens too badly, so I'll go ahead and cut this Ruthless Knave and call it a day. So, as always, I will have the deck list in the description below. I'll have a link to the MTG Goldfish page where I have saved this deck. But let's get into some gameplay. See how well this Jadar Ghoulcaller deck works out for us. Alright, a zombie matchup here. We're playing against the Scarab God, which is a blue-black zombie tribal commander. I'm very happy to keep this hand. We only need 2 mana to get the ball rolling with Jadar. So, 2 mana in hand, good enough for us. So we'll show off the Scarab God while our opponent is choosing here. 5 mana for a 5/5. At the beginning of their upkeep, each opponent loses life equal to the number of zombies they control, and they scry that many cards as well. They can also, for 4 mana, exile a creature card from any graveyard to create a 4/4 zombie copy of it. So the Scarab God, a very, very good card here. Not only a nice zombie tribal card, but if you're milling yourself or your opponent, you can use that 4-mana effect to pretty good use as well. So we're going to keep this, and let's see how this game goes. Looks like our opponent did choose to keep at some point there. I don't know if Arena informed me on that one, but they were thinking when I started reading their commander. Hopefully I didn't keep them waiting too long. Blade Stitched Scab here, turn 2, so definitely the full-on zombie tribal coming here. The Scab being able to give all the zombies +1/+0 on their board. But we have tons of cheap removal, so we can keep that Scab cleared out of the way. So Walk the Plank, destroy a non-merfolk for 2 mana. Gonna send Jadar into the command zone here. Fair enough. And they attack for 2. We will go ahead and take it. So we won't have the mana to recast Jadar until turn 4. However, we can go ahead and play our Ghoulish Procession, so when non-Jadar creatures are dying, we are getting decayed zombie replacements, so I can trade our zombie for the Scab and get one right back with Ghoulish Procession. And we'll attack for 1. Four mana now from our opponent. They have snow-covered lands in their deck as well, so they may have some snow cards in there, probably just the Snow Wrath effect. So, play our mana here, go ahead and attack with the Decayed Zombie, because Jadar only spits out a zombie if we control no decayed zombies, so we might as well get that 2 damage in and then cast Jadar. The only reason not to here would be if we expect them to spend a 2-mana removal spell to kill Jadar again. But if they kill Jadar again, then Ghoulish Procession will give us the decayed zombie anyway, so either way, we would replace it there. Of course, Tail's End from our opponent, just counter a legendary. Pretty annoying card for Historic Brawl, just 2 mana counter your commander. Very rude card for sure. So, it's going to be another turn before we have the mana for Jadar again. But we're going to go ahead and use our Crypt Breaker. Get a 2/2 zombie token out here. Since I definitely don't want the Crypt Breaker to die, I'm not attacking in with it here now. They have multiple blockers. So a Bloodline Pretender from our opponent on zombie. Every zombie they play is going to make the Bloodline Pretender get a +1/+1 counter until it's a very large threat. Well, let's just keep spreading our non-Jadar board state out. Harvester of Souls could be really good here, allowing us to draw a card whenever a non-token creature dies. And we can even use Crypt Breaker now to tap 3 of our creatures to draw a card and lose a life. They're going to go ahead and Murderous Rider our Harvester of Souls, so we can draw a card from that dying due to its own effect. Plus, we do get a Decayed Zombie from Ghoulish Procession. Excellent. Okay, I guess Harvester of Souls is whenever another non-token creature dies. Reading the card does explain the card at times. Let's go ahead and draw a card off Crypt Breaker here. Hit a land. Well, we can discard that to Crypt Breaker at the very least. But this seems like a good position to send in our Decayed Zombie and recast Jadar. Worst case scenario, Jadar dies here after they draw another removal spell. We know what their hand is, it's just Murderous Rider and Scarab God. Neither of those are going to kill Jadar. And I'm actually going to play this land, even though we have Crypt Breaker, to discard cards to get more zombies if we want. I want to have a lot of mana out for our activated abilities like those on Spark Reaper. So the Scarab God is coming out here. We're going to go ahead and kill that with a Spark Harvest, make our opponent recast their commander. See how they like a little taste of their own medicine there. Draw a card. Ooh, Yawgmoth is a huge draw, but just sacrificing the Decayed Zombie to Spark Harvest is going to be better. But having Yawgmoth on the board to sacrifice things whenever we want and draw cards is really good. Just draw the cards for free. Yeah, no, Yawgmoth is huge here. Because now we can sacrifice that Decayed Zombie to clear out their Death Toucher and draw a card. Yawgmoth just a bonkers card here and just in general. We will, of course, replace that Decayed Zombie here in the end step. Let's get a land here for Spark Reaper, cards of the like. The Scarab God coming right back out. And Bloodsheep's Thirst to kill Jadar. Since Jadar's going to die anyway, might as well sacrifice Jadar, put a -1/-1 on Bloodline Pretender, and we'll sack the Decayed Zombie to finish it off. We're drawing 2 cards here. So that zombie that's replacing... well, we could discard a card to proliferate instead. That's actually awesome. So let's throw a counter on the Scarab God. Now we're just a Yawgmoth Commander deck. Apparently. Yeah, let's just go off with Yawgmoth, I suppose. Alright, sure. Resolves now. Alright, draw a card from Crypt Breaker. Yawgmoth actually insane here. We will discard our land. Throw another counter on Scarab God and Pretender. And let's go to our next turn here. We can definitely finish off the Scarab God. We have the 8 mana for Jadar. So I like casting Jadar. We have so much other card draw, I don't even want the Spark Reaper anymore. So we're going to sacrifice the Spark Reaper to get a Decayed Zombie, then sacrifice the Decayed Zombie to kill the Scarab God. Yeah, Yawgmoth plus Ghoulish Procession just going off here. But we have ways to draw cards that don't require spending any mana here, so Spark Reaper actually just super fine to just trade off. I guess if the Shambling Gas dies, they can kill the Crypt Breaker, which is a little sad on the double block here, but still get a little damage in. Probably should send in Yawgmoth as well. They don't have any way to kill Yawgmoth on board, so I suppose there's no reason. So they target Crypt Breaker here, then we sacrifice Crypt Breaker to kill the Shambler. They target Jadar here. Alright, then sacrifice Jadar to kill the Shambler. We have more than enough token protection without Jadar. That works too. Draw a card, get another token. Oh, we already got a token off Procession. Never mind. Missed out on 1 token there. Yeah, there's just so much going off with Yawgmoth and Ghoulish Procession that I literally cannot hold all the cards that I've drawn in hand. We had to discard a card at the end step there, since we had 8. Alright, so dump out a Liliana. Now we're drawing even more cards. We can have each player sacrifice 2 cards after we play something expendable. Right yeah, play some random expendable nonsense. Everybody sacks 2 creatures, we draw 2 cards. Crypt Breaker we don't need anymore because it's making us lose life as we draw, and we're drawing a million cards anyway.
They were a lousy servant anyway.
And attack all. Now we can very easily just keep attacking in and keeping the board clear with our other creatures like Plague Crafter here. Make everybody sacrifice a card. Of course, Yawgmoth for anything small enough to throw counters onto. We do have Baleful Mastery to exile Liliana here.
My army has been destroyed.
And Murderous Rider is the play. Go to our turn. Treadhorde Invasion being the draw. Alright, I like Ayara, so every creature that comes out drains them for a life. Vindictive Vampire, so every creature that dies drains them a life. Plague Crafter, make them sacrifice their only blocker. We're just going off here, and we get a Decayed Zombie, drain them another life, attack with everything, and then sacrifice as many creatures as we need to finish them off. Yeah, they're down to 4. We're sacrificing 2 Decayed Zombies here. Drain them for 2 more life. Or I guess we just sacrifice that to Yawgmoth, but yeah, sacrifice whatever we need here. Could have sacrificed before they untap, but you can just also just attack with everybody, so it doesn't really matter. And they scoop them up here. So that was the first game with Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia, but I'll go ahead and grab another game in here to show off the deck. I think Jadar is a very, very sweet just engine to keep you fueled for all of your sacrifice cards, to always have a creature to sacrifice. So just really nice to have a sacrifice outlet in your command zone, something that produces all the creatures you need, all the creatures you could possibly need to keep sacrificing cards. So Jadar, really cool deck if you love sacrificing cards, and we're going to keep this hand as well, playing against a Sithis Harvest's hand. Hardened Scales is their turn 1 play. Interesting. So an Enchantress deck that has a +1/+1 counter sub-theme. We'll see what happens here. They will be getting extra +1/+1 counters on their cards, but I'm assuming they just cast Sithis here. We'll see, but this might be the kind of game where they just scoop the second we kill Sithis. It happens from time to time. Alright, they throw Sithis into the command zone to recast her for 4 later. Pass the turn, get a Decayed Zombie, we'll probably sacrifice it to Deadly Dispute here. Although Jadar only triggers during our end step, so we won't get the zombie token back until the end of our next turn. Alright, Intangible Virtue to buff their tokens. Yeah, I'd rather draw 2 than get 2 more damage in this turn, and we don't need to sacrifice it during our turn. So let's draw those cards right now, in case we want to play a 4-mana card here, which we do. I would like to play Yawgmoth. So here's Yawgmoth. We do have a treasure token as well, so we could play a 6-mana card next turn. I guess we could have cast Lolth here, that would not have been bad at all, just create a couple spiders. Plus, Lolth works really well with the Decayed Zombies, because she does get a loyalty counter whenever a creature dies, including our creature tokens. So Bound in Gold on Yawgmoth will stop Yawgmoth's abilities. So we don't get to just go crazy with Yawgmoth again this game, but we can certainly sacrifice Yawgmoth for some value in a bit. There is a little bit of recursion in this deck, a little bit of reanimation, but not a lot. As you can see, Witch's Cottage would be one of those cards. So I think I am going to go for the Witch's Cottage on Yawgmoth here. So we're going to sacrifice Yawgmoth to Plumb the Forbidden. And then throw Yawgmoth right back on top of our library with Witch's Cottage to draw Yawgmoth next turn. Cool. And we could foretell a Tergrid's Shadow, I suppose, if our opponent starts playing creatures. We'll have that at the ready. Archon of Sun's Grace is the play from our opponent. Well, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get Dark Salvation for 3 to get 3 zombies. Then we have 4 zombies on the board, and we can finish off Archon of Sun's Grace. Yeah. X equals 3 here. We could do Tergrid's Shadow as well, but they only have 1 creature, so we're not getting like max value for that. Cool. And attack with the Decayed Zombie, since it comes right back in the end step anyway. End step. My brain goes quite weird when I record videos, it happens. End step. Sithis is back on board, and they have 2 mana to use as they will. All that glitters going right onto Sithis, making Sithis a 5/6 on this board state. Of course, Sithis deck's not going to be great against black decks, because we have cards like Tergrid's Shadow we could just cast right here. We do need to get that out of the way. Yeah, let's just cast the Shadow. Just to clear the 1 creature out of the way, I suppose. Attack for 3 and get a Siege Zombie out. Mirari's Wake. Alright, that doubles their mana next turn, so if they survive another turn, there could be some big stuff. We do have a Blood for Bones, pretty big draw, but no creatures in our graveyard to resurrect with Blood for Bones. So I'm feeling like a Lulth here, because Lulth's going to get a bunch of loyalty as our Decayed zombies die.
Darkness will I will cull the weak.
So here's an extra loyalty for Lulth as that dies. It replaces itself with Jadar, so we have 3 creatures on board for Siege Zombie to put them down to 5. Primeval Bounty is the play from them. Now whenever they cast a creature, they get a 3/3. Cast a non-creature, they get counters. When they play a land, they gain 3 life. Alright. So a 2/3 and a 5/5, and they gain 3 up to 9 life here. We'll start using this Siege Zombie to shred them. Just draw a card off Lulth here, see what we get. Whisper, Blood Liturgist. Not perfect here. Yawgmoth, though, pretty good here. Sacrifice our Decayed Zombie for a counter on Sithis for sure.
A gift.
Rankle is the draw. Yeah, Rankle's actually huge. So we cast Rankle there, and then probably just send Rankle into this guy. I'm sure we could probably find lethal there. We have 2 menace creatures. Maybe we already just had lethal, but I wasn't paying attention because we have so much other stuff that we can do. So they have 2 blockers. If we attack all, they block here, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh yeah. Alright, well, I guess we just had lethal. Even just on board, but with the Rankle we have just extra lethal. Alright, well, that is my Jadar Ghoulcaller of Nephalia deck. Just going to be a short video today. Tend to keep the Historic Brawl videos a little short, just use them as the videos to record on work days when I don't really have time to play a full 2-hour draft or sealed event here, but I think this is a really sweet deck. I definitely recommend brewing around Jadar Ghoulcaller of Nephalia. You really cannot overstate how powerful it is to have access to a token producer in the command zone at all times in your black sacrifice decks. That just makes sure that all of these removal spells like Bone Shards, Bone Splinters, Eaten Alive, they're just always active for 1 mana, as well as of course all of the great value ways to sacrifice the creatures, Ayara drawing cards, Skullport Merchant drawing cards, all of that kind of stuff. Just a bunch of great ways to utilize those very expendable Decayed Zombie tokens. So a super sweet deck here today. I highly recommend trying out Jadar Ghoulcaller of Nephalia if you like playing Aristocrats or sacrifice style strategies, if you like mono black Historic Brawl decks or Commander decks, anything like that. And if you like Yawgmoth Thran Physician, if you've been playing Yawgmoth as your commander, that was definitely the best Aristocrats commander previously, and maybe still is, Yawgmoth being an incredible sacrifice outlet. But yeah, trying out with the token producer in the command zone instead of the sacrifice card in the command zone could be an interesting change of pace, so either way there. Anyways, that is going to end today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did and you'd like to see more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. That'll let the YouTube algorithm know to send you more of these videos, and you can check out the Twitch channel below if you want to see me do some practice drafts here and there, or sometimes I feel like I might start playing some random video games just for fun over on Twitch. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon for some more Magic Arena.